choose the single direction of the relationship, right? Choose the propagation of the filter context. Look here. Here we can see the arrow is pointing in both direction, right? So this is called your bidirectional relationship. If the arrow is pointing downwards, that is a single or uniway direction. If the arrow is, in this case, the arrow is flowing down here, this arrow is going up. So that means you can use the shift date table to filter this table, and also you can use this table to filter this table. In both direction you can do the filtering. So that is what both, but both is not recommended. This approach is, this is not recommended. Okay, this is not recommended. Don't ever use the bidirectional relationship. The reason for it, it causes severe performance related issues. Next we will jump into the date table. Date table is also one of the important topics in Power BI. When you do the time intelligence related analysis, right, the date tables are very much important. Even if you use one business table, for example, customer has given you one Excel sheet, they want you to create some report, still better you can create your own custom date table. So with that date table you can do trend analysis. You can create like for like related reports. Okay, so the one of the one of the point that you need to remember when it comes to Power BI is the moment when you load the data. For example, your data is in Excel file. When you load your data into Power BI desktop, what happens is it creates the date tables automatically if you have a date column in your data set. For example, I just go back here and see here. Look here. So here in my data set, look here, the fact sales is an Excel file. I just loaded it here. Here I have order date is there, and ship date is also there. In some case, right, you will have due date will be there. So if you have more than one date column is there in your file, the Power BI desktop, what it does is it creates that many number of date tables behind the scene. Supposing you have 3 date columns are there: order date, ship date, due date. 3 date columns are there, part of your table. For each date column, for example, ship date, it creates a date table behind the scene, and order date also it creates the date table behind the scene automatically. And if you have due date column is there, even for that it creates a separate table. Okay, it creates 3 tables. Since let's say I have 3 date columns are there. In this case we have 2 date columns. If you have 3 date columns are there, it will create 3 individual date tables automatically behind the scene. It is a overkill, right? So having so many tables, it consumes memory. We don't want so many tables to be created. Hence we need to create our own custom table. So how do I create my own custom table? Right, before you create your custom table, click on file and just click on the options and settings. Here you have something called your data load. See, auto date time. You need to unselect this one, click on OK. If you want to create your custom date table, you need to, because all we need is only one date table, that is more than sufficient. Why we need to have separate table for each date column? That doesn't make any sense. In that case you can unselect it. For the sake of illustration, I'm not going to change it now. Click on OK. But that is the approach. You need to unselect this. The next question is, how do I create the date table, custom date table, single custom date table? How can I create that? So before we jump in there, so now you might be asking this question. So in my data set I have 3 date columns are there. So as what I said, for each date column it creates separate date tables behind the scene. Is there any way if I can see it? you cannot see it. You can't even see it. Even a developer or modeler, right, data model cannot see it. If they wanted to see it, they will have to go to something else called DAX Studio. DAX Studio. DAX Studio, click on open. It is a open source. You can go to Google and type download DAX Studio. The installation is pretty simple. Once the exe file get downloaded, click on it until you find installation successful. Click on it. It will get installed. It will not consume much storage space. It's a very small file, but it is very much helpful when it comes to performance tuning and all. The DAX query performance tuning, this is very much helpful. Look here, the moment when I open this DAX Studio, it is asking me where to connect. Do you want to connect tabular server? This is SSES. I don't have tabular server here, so I'm going to click on this one, Power BI data one. Currently I opened two files here, right? So you need to select the latest one and click on connect. The DAX Studio, the moment when you select the report file, it will connect to that specific report. Look here, local date table. Look here, you can see these are the date table got created behind the scene. Okay, we don't want so many date table to be created unnecessarily. So you can see it, but this thing you cannot see it in your Power BI desktop. The automatically created date tables by Power BI desktop, you cannot see it here, but you can see it from your DAX Studio. Okay, the next question is, how do I create my own custom table? Because if I go by the automatic date tables created, it will create so many date tables. We don't need it. I want to have a single date table. What you do is, you can go to the data view. You click on the new table. Okay, when you click on the new table, I just show you this one. Once you click on the new table, it will open something like this. You need to type the table name. So here I specified my table name as calendar 1. On the right side, I specified calendar function. This is a DAX function. The first argument is supposed to be the minimum date and maximum date. I think I picked up cold. The minimum date and maximum date. Once you specify this, it generates the date value sequentially between these two periods. So 3/3/21, 3rd March and 4th March and 5th March. Look here, see, sequentially, it is not leaving any gap. Once it creates the date table, the next step is, you can go to, so look here, in the home ribbon, not in the home ribbon, you will find something called column tools. Click on this one. You click on new column and then type year. Let's say you want to extract year from this automatically generated date values, right? You need to use a year function. It's a DAX function. What is my table name? Calendar 1. In the calendar 1 table, pick up the date column. From this date column, extract only the year. Look here. Similarly, month. If you specify month, another column. I want to create another month. So year, month name, quarter, everything I just created. The another disadvantage with the automatic date tables is, you cannot have the columns like this. It will create by default the date, year, month, quarter only. Okay. If you want to display the report in the x-axis, you want to display the month name, March, April, right? So 12 months sales performance, right? You want to see it, and that too in the x-axis you want to specify the month name. Instead of month number, you want to specify the month name. So these are the things, right? These are the advantages when you create your own custom date table. You can create as many columns as possible. Supposing you wanted to see the day name, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, weekly sales by day name, right? So Monday, Tuesday in the x-axis, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. In each day, what is the sales, right? So for that, you need to create another column. We have another DAX function is available, using which you can create the month, day name also. I will show you later. Okay. So this is a pretty simple and straightforward way of creating the custom table. And when I cover DAX topic, I will explain you in detail, right? So how to create various columns like a month, the day name, and the day everything. Okay, and weekday number. Okay. So in the case of this date table, right? So it should have a column of type date. Okay, so known as date column. The date column must contain unique values. Look here, the date column should contain unique values. You are not supposed to have duplicate values, and also it should not have any blank values in it, and it should not have any missing dates. There should not be any gap. For example, 12th March and 14th March, there should not be any gap. It should be sequential. It should span full years. Okay, full years. Okay, and also once you create table, you can set it as a you can mark it as a date table. That we will see it when I teach you the DAX thing. Okay, so how do I create what are the approaches that I can use it to create the date table? So you can go by the auto date, as I told you, with auto date time option. Power BI creates the date table on our behalf. But if you have more date columns in your tables, it will create separate table for each date column. Okay, that is not the that is not the right way of doing it. Okay, and or you can use Power Query to connect to date dimension table. You can write some Power Query script, M script, to generate a date table. The other option is DAX to generate your date. Usually we use DAX command to generate the date table. It depends. Some projects, right, the customer will give us the DAX Power Query. They would have used the Power Query to create a date dimension table. In some case, right, the DAX, but we use in general the DAX function. Okay, calendar function, right? Simply you can clone an existing date table by creating calculate table, like I shown you, right? The calculate table function, using which I just duplicated the calendar table, right? You remember, as part of in the role playing dimension, I have shown you how to create the duplicate of a table. Okay, so now you understood what is how to create a date table at a high level. Okay, and the next one is